Hey Kevin, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Doing well. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So tell me a little bit about how your week has gone so far.
Oh, I think you know. I know that they do notes, the techs do notes and stuff.
You did come up a few times
A
in the
few
notes.
times.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I want to hear from you. Um,
Um, well, what was in the notes?
well, we had, and I don't know a lot of the details, which is why I'm eager to talk with you about it. But there were some concerns about you in housing, maybe going through something that clinical staff wasn't aware of when you first admitted, which can be, I think, a really good thing, an opportunity. But I am eager to hear your take on things. I see you're clamming up a little bit, and so I want you to know it's a totally safe space. There's nothing to worry about.
Look, I'm just saying, yeah, like, when you overeat sometimes,
Hmm.
and it's just like, I think it's pretty normal if you, like, accidentally overeat. You want to get to feeling good pretty soon because you have to take care of stuff. So I just overate and I got sick.
Okay.
And that tech was just hanging out outside the door. It's kind of weird, but whatever.
Okay. So, um, you felt like the tech was kind of hanging out, lurking outside of the door, but you had overeaten and
Mhm.
then gotten sick.
Mhm. Mhm.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And I know you said it like it happens often. Is that something that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't normal like if you overeat, you just get sick. Like it's pretty scientific, I think.
Okay. Okay.
You eat in excess, like your body just can't, and then so sometimes I like to speed along that process and I just get it over with so that like I can continue on. And I don't see how that has, like I'm doing everything else that y'all like, you know, I'm doing everything
Mm-hmm.
that y'all are asking me to do,
You've done great.
so I don't see why this is like such, big deal. I think that tech just hates me.
Well, I think it's quite the opposite. I think what it sounds like is that the tech was worried about you. Again, though, I haven't spoken directly with the tech, and I'm happy to be talking with you about it. Can you tell me a little bit more about what get sick means, what that looks like?
Um, well, I mean, y- you know, just throwing up. Uh, you know.
Okay, throwing up.
Yeah.
You said you speed that process along.
Yeah.
Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
Well, like if I eat foods that like I know I shouldn't eat because they're bad foods, then like once I reach that like over excess point, I just you know drink more fluids, eat more of the food, and then go to the bathroom, get it over with.
Okay. Drink more fluids, eat more of the food,
Hmm.
and then go to the bathroom. You're
Yeah.
laughing.
Yeah,
Tell me
yeah.
about the
Because I know
laughter.
it's crazy. I know it's a crazy thought process, but like,
Well,
you
not
know,
not crazy, right? But also, I think not typical, like you were saying at the beginning
I
either.
think that more people do it than than they let on. I know it's really common. Like, I mean, swim team, all these other things where you have to cut weight. Hell, even horse riding. Like, I've never, done professional, but like it's pretty common.
It
NASCAR
is.
racing. Do you know that those people like they have a high rate of, but I don't think I have an eating disorder. I'm just saying that like it's pretty common.
A high rate of what?
Um, you know, throwing up after eating, making sure they stay in a certain weight class.
Okay. Making sure they stay in a certain weight
Hmm.
class using methods like you're describing.
Yeah, or just not eating, or whatever. Working out to excess after overeating.
Well, I think I can see you kind of smiling when you say some of this, and I'm
I've talked to
wondering.
so many people about this throughout my whole life that like it's just uncomfortable at this point. I'm smiling because
Okay.
I'm uncomfortable,
Okay. Okay.
and
Okay.
it's just like, uh, Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's why I didn't bring it up on like my intake stuff or anything like that, because it's just like not causing any harm.
Not causing any harm to
I don't know. Me?
you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I want to explore that a little bit. And I want to hear about, you've said that you've told a lot of people about this. I'm really interested to hear how some of those conversations have gone.
Oh God. Like I've talked to so many. You've seen all the therapists and treatment centers I've been to. I've talked to almost all of them about it. But in the end, like I know how to like teeter the line, and last night of that like eating disorder behavior. Um, and last night was an example of like just too much stuff going on. Didn't want to deal with it. Like felt gross, kept going. And then just the release. Like once all that grossness was out of me, and yeah, I mean, but most of the time, I'm able to, not do anything.
Too much was, you said too much was going on. Do you mean too much was going on?
Emotionally,
Okay.
Mentally, just being here. That stupid tech who y'all have, who's just like always on me. So, yeah.
Well, I'm hearing some parallels between this and some of the substance abuse that you've described before.
Sure. Well, I also know that like 1 out of 3 people who have an eating disorder also, or all that stuff. I know all this. Like.
But I think the really important thing that you said is that it isn't doing any harm to you. And I want to know about how you came to that.
Well, I mean, it's there. I mean, there have been instances where I've been worried, but there's a reason why like I'm able to rein it back.
Is that what you mean by toe the line? Tell me about that process.
About reining it back?
About when you're aware that maybe it's causing harm to you, when your tripwire is kind of set off and you're like, oh, it's time to.
Well, I mean, this is like what, like the
control it.
Like this is like I'm like halfway through my stay here. Ish. Like,
Ish.
I mean, there have been some things that have caused some red flags that I've noticed, like years and years ago with it.
Tell me about that. What is that?
I mean, just like a little bit of body, blood and stool and stuff like that, hemorrhoids.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't do that anymore.
Is that from laxative abuse? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I wanted to because my teeth were getting damaged.
Okay.
So I thought,
You're laughing again.
Yeah. Just switch it up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it seems like since we've started this session, when you start laughing, it's almost like you're telling me something that you don't even believe yourself, right? And I think that's interesting. I think we've talked a little bit about that before.
It's because I'm uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. Yeah. Uncomfortable.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, but I also don't really want to do anything about this. I didn't come here for this. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Almost protective of it.
I mean, I'm not protective of it. Like, we can address it, but like, I'm not gonna meet with a nutritionist. I'm not gonna waste my money on that. I'll do things to. I'll take the suggestions you've given me, but I don't want any techs waiting outside bathrooms. I don't want any of that. So, and I know that it's like I don't have any control in this, but in order for me to feel honest and like bring it to my therapist, I need to have some sort of like understanding that it's not going to be talked about in clinical meetings. It's not, like in over excess.
And what's the fear there?
That director of operations, Kelsey, like running around telling all the techs, and then just I know how treatment is, the gossip, all this, like when I was 19, I went to a place and they took the bathroom door off for 30 days, so like even using the restroom was disturbing. So like yeah, there's some like trauma around even talking about it to a therapist. So I don't want to. Yeah, so when it comes to this specifically, I don't trust anyone with it.
Okay. You'd mentioned that you talked to a lot of people about it already before, and I was wondering if it had gone poorly in the past, and it sounds like to an extent it has.
Oh, every single time, yeah.
And part of that it goes poorly is the sense of almost like a lack of control, like you lose control over what happens next.
Yeah, well, it's also like there's stuff that I was, up until I was like 27, like I talked to so many people about it, and up until I was 27, there were always so many other people I was in one way or another institutionalized, even if I was just like living at home with my parents, it felt like that. So with individual therapy, all this other stuff, and if they were floating the bill for it because of my addiction and I wasn't able, then they wanted to know what I was talking to the therapist about. And I would have to sign releases and all that, part of the deal because I was living at home or whatever. But then like, I'd only be allowed like one towel because, I told a therapist something about how I use towels and then, oh, the therapist claims they never told my parents anything, but then why am I only getting one towel? And like, I know this is all coming across like it's just word vomit.
No,
but
it's all
yeah, there's
cohesive.
like no trust with that.
Okay. Because the things that you would tell therapists in the past would turn into specific
exes, family members, friends, like, they'd just be like, what, or they'd be like, call me gay or something. Statistically, or it's pretty even now, but anyway, with men and women, but.
Yeah, painful judgments and then also some policies implemented that took things out of your hands in a way that maybe you felt was.
I think policies were implemented that were like disgusting and made me not want to open up to people about it.
Yeah. Well, you said something interesting. You said, I will take any of your suggestions. And then before and after that clause, there was some resistance. But I wonder what you mean by that. What suggestions do you think I would make in regards to this that you would be open to taking?
I don't know. I mean, I've heard so many. Like, I can tell you ones that have helped in the past.
Let's hear it.
Just like knowing that, like that discomfort and everything will pass, and like actually just like sort of having faith that it will pass, and sitting with the uncomfortability, and then a few hours later it's like might not be taking my shirt off, but like I haven't purged or done anything, and I'm able to watch a movie or play ping pong.
Okay.
And then slowly from that, like it just.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not overeating, not restricting, just having like a certain amount. Safe foods, healthy foods. Oh, what's a safe food? Like, what's a healthy food?
Right.
Right,
or a bad food, as you labeled.
A bad food, yeah.
I think that that's a really good jumping off place if that's helped you in the past. I know that at the start of this you said you don't feel like this is harming you. But I wonder if, similar to when you were in addiction, you remember that feeling when you got out of the addiction and then you kind of reflected back on it when you were doing really well with substance use. And you said something about the freedom of that, and it kind of hits us that, oh my gosh, look at how much of my cognitive space was used thinking about this and dealing with it. Sometimes when we're in it, we don't actually know how consumed we are by it, and it's not until we get complete freedom from it, which it almost sounds like you haven't experienced, not until we get complete freedom that we're able to actually see how consuming and how harmful it actually was. I'm wondering if that could be the case for you, and if you would be interested at all in testing it and just seeing if that.
Well, I mean, like, I know that it's caused harm, like, you know, like, to me, but I don't think it's caused any serious physical harm, and that's really how I judge it.
That's how you've been measuring it. Your teeth, your hemorrhoids, and some of those other things.
Yeah, but like when that stuff starts to happen, I just stop, and then I am able to reflect, you know, and I'm able to be like, oh shit, remember when, you know, you had to time everything out perfectly, and then if something went wrong, then, you know.
Stopping the symptoms, the actions, but maybe not ever dealing with that elephant in the room.
I just think that eating disorders are impossible. I don't even like to think that I have one.
Okay.
And I don't think I have one.
Okay, you're doing that laugh again.
And I forgot where I was going with that, but I think that, like, I don't know, like, I'd like to have a healthier relationship with food, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I have had time where I've been separated from it completely and have been okay, you know. It just comes in waves. And I mean, I feel like an eating disorder is so, like, you know, with alcohol, you just stay abstinent. Like, so why can't I do the same thing with food? Which is sort of my go-to with it.
Right.
Just stay abstinent. And just don't overeat.
Okay. And it's tricky, not impossible, right? But it is tricky because obviously that approach with an eating disorder, that's sort of where the parallel ends. But abstinence, when we talk about eating disorders, is more of an abstinence from the thoughts and the disordered behaviors, the disordered thinking and the disordered behaviors, rather than from food. And so just like abstinence in substance use is abstaining from the problem, in eating disorders it's the same thing, and food isn't the problem. It's the relationship with food that is the problem, right? Or the challenge.
Yeah.
So that's what we would really be looking at, and I like that you're maybe at this point okay with just taking a few steps into exploring it.
I mean, if we sign a contract right now that Kelsey has no idea, I'm serious. Okay. I can't. She talks to all the techs. She talks loudly to all the techs. If I find out that, like, this is just spread, like, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm going to another facility. But I will take whatever you suggest. Okay. But, like, I'm just, yeah.
So, you're willing to take a look at it?
I don't want anyone other than the legitimate clinical team knowing about any of this. Okay.
Well, I think that we can certainly limit the discussions. Obviously, you and I, this is confidential. We do have clinical meetings, but only therapists go to that. So this is not something that I would discuss with Kelsey anyways. So you and I can certainly uphold that and it still be ethical. So we'll work on it, and it'll just be you and I, and then some things I'll bring to my supervisor the way that I have been.
So, okay, if I do this, like, what do I do today? You know, like, I haven't eaten, so, like, I want to eat.
That's good.
What do I do?
Yeah, I think, so